Right, let's unpack this report. I'm joined by the official opposition's leader, that's John Steenhuisen of the Democratic Alliance. Mr. Steenhuisen, thank you very much for your time here on eNCA. Are you surprised at this finding by the Public Protector? I mean, in March, a preliminary report by that office said the president was not guilty.
I'm very surprised by the finding because we made a significant contribution as to why the Public Protector, we believe, had erred, particularly when it came to the issue around a conflict of interest. And interestingly enough, her report finds Wally Rhoode guilty of conducting the investigation, but then exonerates the president for using the Parliamentary Protection Services to pursue money stolen from a private business enterprise, something which no other South African citizen has the privilege or pleasure of doing. Ordinary citizens like you and I are required to go to a police station, open a case, and rely on the police to investigate. Here is a president who's using the public protection services that are paid for out of the public purse to pursue money that was owing or stolen from his private business. That is a clear conflict of interest, and it's why we will be taking this report on review. We believe it's wrong both in law and its understanding of the Executive Ethics Act, and clearly has been designed to exonerate the president. Also premature in the fact that the SRB report is still awaited, and I mean the Public Protector is going to find herself in a very difficult position if the SARB report comes back with different findings. Additionally to that, an independent panel constructed at Parliament found that the president did indeed have a case to answer. So now we've got two conflicting reports. The independent panel report, headed by a retired judge, which said the president has a case to answer. The Public Protector's report, which says he doesn't. And I don't think we're any closer to the truth, which is why I think this matter is going to be required to be taken on review and examined far more closely. I think this report is a whitewash, and we look forward to obviously discussing with our legal team the steps taken required to review it.
And I find it interesting that you say you want to take the report on review, because when she started off talking about all these 12 reports that she was releasing today, before delving into the Phala report, she said that the Public Protector has established a few mechanisms to make sure that all her reports are able to stand legal scrutiny. So I find it interesting that you say that. But tell me your reaction, Mr. Steenhuisen, to one of the investigators in the Public Protector's office, Mr. Dlamini, right now, in terms of the nexus that journalists are trying to understand why the president's advisor and security personnel would travel with him to Namibia about 8 days after the suspect who allegedly stole the money at his Phala farm is arrested in that same country. He's saying that they used evidence including the itinerary from the SAPs as well as the agenda of the meeting they were going to with the president of Namibia. Do you think that's evidence enough to rule out the possibility that what Arthur Fraser was saying was true?
No, not at all. And I think that it's flimsy evidence at the very best. It is very unlikely, on a balance of probabilities, using the reasonable man test, that sequence of events that the investigator has laid out is the reality that took place. It is highly unlikely and highly improbable that was the sequence of events. I think that, as I said, I think the report has erred, and that's exactly why it needs to be probed and taken on review. I noted the Public Protector's comments about how she has insulated her reports from review. But we have heard those before. I think Mrs. Mkhwebane has defended in court every single one of her reports that have been overturned and taken when taken on review, and that have not withstand the scrutiny of proper legal oversight.
And, you know, when it comes to the three things that she was investigating, I'm looking here, it was the declaration of his interest, it was the conflict of interest when it came to his constitutional obligation, as well as his private interest, but also whether he abused his power by reporting the matter to Major General Wally Rhoode instead of the SAPS. And in the same breath saying that Wally Rhoda is the one who's found at fault for investigating it, but at the same time saying the president could and was allowed to, only report the matter to Rhoda. So basically she's saying Rhoda was supposed to take it to the SAPS and leave it alone from there. Do you agree with that finding?
No, I fundamentally disagree with it. The person who has the locus standi to open a case is the complainant. Mr. Rhoda by no means could be the complainant in the matter. It wasn't money stolen from his business that was taken from underneath the couch. It was the president's money accruing to his private business. And again, this is where I think the public protectors erred dramatically. The first two matters, I think, were Mr. Zungula's complaint. The thrust of my complaint on behalf of the DA was that by reporting it to Rhoda and not to the SAPS, the president was abusing the fact that he has access to a protection service paid for by you and I and the rest of the citizens of South Africa that no other citizen has access to. And that would have been okay had it been a matter concerning the president's safety and security in his role as president, Cyril Ramaphosa, the president. But what we're dealing with here is Cyril Ramaphosa, the businessman. This was pala money. It wasn't money stolen from the state. It wasn't money stolen from his department. It was private pala money that had accrued to him. And I've maintained that in finding Mr. Rhoda guilty of investigating, but not the person who clearly instructed Mr. Rhoda to conduct the investigation guilty, is another situation like we had with the Zuma case, where you had a corruptor who got away scot-free and the corruptee who ended up taking the fall.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Steenhuisen. We'll wait for you to send us those documents that you'll be sending to court in terms of wanting to put this, to take this report on review. That is the leader of the official opposition, John Steenhuisen of the Democratic Alliance.